coming from a county where the county fair is the biggest event of the year for many people, and I see from my perspective family farms in crisis, and a lot of it relates to workforce. And I'm happy to see that we're making a considerable investment, the $4.5 million in the various grants. But I see this as a crisis right now. I mean, I've talked to farmers with tears in their eyes. You can't turn dairy cows off, right? And they're working 12, 14-hour days to make sure that the cows are milked. They can't get an adequate workforce. So I would like you to talk a little bit more about, how these grants will be used right now to help fill some of these workforce needs in the farming industry. Talk about the future. I'm really concerned also with the lack of ag ed programs in our high schools. We have a really good one in Penns Manor, but that's really, I think, because of the teacher, Jerry Hughes, who really has some passion for that. But just maybe touch on that, the workforce issues, and what we're doing right now to help farmers get through this difficult time.
Yeah, thank you. And as you, I mean, there's not a conversation I'm having in agriculture that doesn't include a workforce issue, right? Part of it is the succession planning for the farm and the farm family. Part of it is access to, the technical expertise and the skills and competencies that they need to both service equipment, but also they need to employ. Part of it is, the macro efforts around folks who are here on an as-needed basis, on a seasonal basis, to sort of fill that need, right? So it's everywhere we go, there's been a workforce conversation. Two things. One is to say that the department, when I returned to the department, felt very strongly that the workforce conversation is one that the department should be part of, right? And certainly, work with our sister agencies in labor and industry and commerce and education, but also be the advocate for and the architect of, some of those workforce efforts that we need to do, right? And one, it's understanding who is that workforce and what is the workforce, what are the skills and competencies of the workforce, and how do we cultivate that, for ag. So we've been very intentional about that work and very proud of that work, recognizing that there are in-demand jobs for agriculture. What are they? We know today that there are 28 in-demand jobs in agriculture. Only 8 have a defined career pathway in Pennsylvania. Even nationally. So the other 20, if it's a need, right, how does someone even know that's a need and find your way there to that job? So that's all been in this work that we've done around workforce development. We have in our Farm Bill workforce component that begins to look very specifically at the rural youth grants, and pleased to have the FFA members here today. We've got 150 ag science programs around Pennsylvania in 500 school districts. So you can see where we have pockets, right? I'd love to have every school. That's part of the effort of our Ag Education Commission, is to how do you hang on to those that you have them respond and grow, but also add new ones. So it's a very dynamic space. Just on the federal side, we also think you've got to address this issue of the legal immigration and the H-2A category of guest workers for agriculture. It's critical.
Okay, good. My next question, and I guess it's more of a caution. As we've gone through the budget discussions over these past several weeks, and this gets to your ag preparedness, and I think, just as a caution, I think there's a danger in relying on Restore PA to, in the event of a catastrophe, because that's the severance tax, and that's not something that is a definite by any means. So I'm really concerned as I continue to hear people say, we're going to rely on that, we're going to rely on that. There's a danger in that. And I want to put that out there, that's something I'm very concerned about, because I can see, the shifting of funds here and there, relying on this program that may or may not happen. So I caution you on that end. And just as a general statement again, do everything we can to make sure that the farmers out there have what they need to be successful right now, whether it's infrastructure, broadband, succession planning. Where I come from, I hear just horror stories of what farmers are dealing with right now. Yeah. They can't get out of the industry because they can't even sell their cows because the cost is so low. So I think we need to do everything we can to help all farmers in the agriculture industry. So thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it and fully support that. I mean, the number of calls that I've taken, the conversations I've been party to, I live this industry, and you listen, these are folks who are generational, right? And they're really trying to figure out my pathway, and that's why this sort of center concept, while it doesn't have all the definition to it, the things that we spoke of today are sort of expected to be an output of that center, right? Where do you go to have the conversations about the enterprises? Where do you go to talk about exports? How do you actually navigate issues of transition? And I think that's what we're trying to create in this new center. But thank you.